Welcome to Human Potential at Work, the show where we explore social impact, inclusion, and empowerment of everyone, including persons with disabilities. Get ready to be inspired, hear success stories, and learn tips and principles for bringing out the best in everyone. And now, here's your host and CEO of Rue Global Impact, Deborah Rue.
Hello, everyone. My name is Deborah Rue, and I'm the CEO of Rue Global Impact and the Executive Chair of Billion Strong. And I also want to do a visual description for anyone that can't see me. I'm a white woman with gray and very gray hair and purple streaks through it. And I have on a black shirt and a purple sweater and sort of orange beads that my beautiful husband gave to me. And since he died a week ago, we are celebrating him today. So I know that he's in a good place. So, but my guest today really impressed me with what he was doing. I love people that will really take what they see that needs to be fixed in the world and actually put a lot of efforts in doing it. And so that's why Larry really stood out to me. So my guest today is Larry Guterman, and he's the co-founder and the Chief Customer Experience Officer for SonicCloud. Now, SonicCloud is really, really revolutionizing, the way we hear things. And so I'm really excited for Larry to tell us his personal story and the story about SonicCloud. So welcome to the program, Larry.
Thank you, Deborah. It's great to be here.
So
and I'm very sorry for your loss.
Oh, thank you. I know it was a very sad, long walk with dementia, but our comfort is that he's in a good place, because I do believe that, but still sad, very sad. As Larry, as so many other people are experiencing loss, so it's, chilling times. And that's why we need the leaders that help move us forward. This is why we have to be the light bringers, and we have to make a difference. So what a perfect time for you to be on the show, because that's exactly what you're doing. And you're not doing it in a vacuum. You're working with some really incredible leaders, including leaders that are in, Hollywood and stuff. So I love what you're doing. And I know during the episode, a lot of you watched the episode, some of you listened to the episode, and Larry is going to share some slides, but he's going to talk to the slides. And then he's also going to give us a demonstration on the difference in hearing. So, for anyone that can't see the screen, we're going to make sure that we describe it so you can also experience it. So speaking of that, Larry, why don't you give a description of yourself?
So I am a 5'8" Caucasian male with brown and slightly graying hair. I don't know if that's sufficient, hopefully.
I think it's always interesting how people what they choose to describe about themselves, so I think it's perfect. I would say you're a good looking man, healthy. Yeah, but we won't go there. All right, cool. So first of all, Larry, let's talk about you. Who are you? Tell us about your journey. How did you even get involved with something like SonicCloud, and why?
So I grew up in Canada, mostly Montreal and Toronto. And then I went to college in Boston, and I had what would be considered "quote unquote" normal hearing. My freshman year, I was at MIT, and I was at a very loud party there, and it was so loud that I had pain in my ears and ringing in my ears for a week afterwards. And I went to get checked, and I had a little bit of hearing loss at one of the frequencies, 3,000 hertz, one of the high frequencies. Okay. And then over the course of the next 5 to 15 years, my hearing deteriorated. I transferred from MIT. I ended up at Harvard. I majored in physics, and then I took a left turn after college, after working in computer graphics for a while, and went to USC Film School for graduate school. I had always loved making films since I was a kid. Made little Super 8 movies and stuff in Toronto. And so I went back to film school. And then when I came out, it was right at the start of DreamWorks, which is the new studio, and I got hired to direct their first interactive big flagship Goosebumps game, and then off of that was hired to direct parts of the movie Ants, computer animated feature, and then I directed Cats and Dogs for Warner Brothers, a big family comedy. I was directing Curious George for a while, the live action version of it. that didn't get made, but that was at Universal. And then I did more movies and TV and film and stuff. But the reason I say that is while all that was happening, while I was doing that, my hearing was deteriorating in a very kind of methodical, relentless fashion, to the point where it became really, in the speech frequencies, severe to profound hearing loss over time. So that, I don't know if that gives you a little background.
No, I think that's such an interesting, especially being in the film industry. You probably need your hearing in the film industry, I would assume, right? So
yeah, I have a little picture. I have a little picture of me on the set of Cats and Dogs on two phones at once, having to take two different calls at the same time. They're old Nokia brick phones because it's before the iPhone. But that's what I sometimes show to illustrate how important, oral communication is. Oral and oral communication is in that industry. Right. And it started to become a problem for me because I was wearing hearing aids. I couldn't get good speech understanding holding the phone to my ear with my hearing aids in it, and I was getting feedback. Right. So that actually helped motivate to start the genesis of SonicCloud, because we thought, why not take, and the hearing aids are so expensive, at least, right. And they haven't, in the whole history of hearing aids until the OTC law, they haven't been covered by insurance. So, you want to get a decent pair of hearing aids. I have my hearing aids here. You want to get a decent pair of these. These are pair right there, right behind, and they are $8,000 if you want it connected to your. If you want to function in the modern world and have them connected to your phone or your computer, that's how much they cost. And so it just can be untenable for many people. I was fortunate to be able to pay for them over the years, and I probably spent $75,000 over the years in having to upgrade and get new ones, and get accessories. And so, we thought, why not just take that functionality of that very expensive piece of technology and put it in the mini supercomputer that we're all carrying around in our pockets and on our computers, actual computers, at least for digital communication, so that you could have a complementary way to enhance the sound if you wear hearing aids. And if you don't wear them, you can use it for phone calls and Zoom calls like this one.
Right. I noticed that I bought, because we were on a budget, I bought the cheaper versions of the new iPhones a couple of years ago, and I was able to buy, because I had to replace 5 of them. So I replaced 5 of them. But what I noticed, which I'm just an older woman, but I noticed that one thing that they took away from the phone, these little $200 phones instead of $1,500, is the volume. So I can't hear on my phone, even though I have normal hearing, according to the, being tested, I can't hear it. And so I thought, really? So that's what you're going to take away on my phone, is my ability to hear the phone? Because I actually think that should be my biggest priority. And I understand they're trying to encourage me not to buy their cheap phones again and buy the more expensive phones. But I was really surprised that was a decision that was made, that the volume would be so low on these phones. I also want to say that my husband had very, very severe hearing loss, and I paid $6,000 out of pocket for his hearing aids. And people don't have that kind of money. It's so expensive. And why we don't value our hearing and our eyes, and and our teeth even. It's like, we'll take care of the rest of the body here in the United States with our medical insurance, but I hope you don't have problems with your ears or your eyes or your mouth. That's so close to your brain. But anyway, that's a whole nother issue.
Another topic.
Yeah, whole nother thing that I know you can talk to us about. Before we leave your film career, can we talk about, some real superstars like, J.J. Abrams, Ron Howard? I'm such a fan of Ron Howard. How can we not be a fan of him? But also J.J. Abrams. But tell us more about how the work you've done has, influenced what they're doing.
Oh, yeah. Good point. So Ron Howard was the producer of a film I was going to direct, Curious George, at Universal at the time. It was a live action hybrid version. That version didn't end up getting made. There were multiple versions at the studio.
Okay.
But then I also, one of our partners, supporters, investors in SonicCloud is an actor named Sean Hayes, who's from Will and Grace, the very funny one.
He is
And
a funny one too. He's very funny.
he has a wonderful podcast now, actually, called Smartless with
Oh, I didn't know that.
Smartless with Jason Bateman and Will Arnett and Sean Hayes. So they have a very a fun podcast. Anyway, so he's an investor, and he also knows Ron from the film business. And so together we went and met with him about SonicCloud and talked to him about the idea that we would love in the future to be able to listen. You go to the movie theater and it's almost impossible to understand the dialogue, and then even when you're watching it on streaming at home, it's very difficult, especially if it's the Avengers movie or something. And so there's all kinds of music and effects. So the idea with Ron Howard and J.J. Abrams, I don't know J.J. Abrams, Sean does, is that they've given us a nice, wonderful note of endorsement regarding the SonicCloud's ability to be part of a larger solution to allow folks to be able to go to the theater and understand the dialogue separate from the music and effects, both again theatrically and also in at home. So that this is an initiative, longer term initiative at SonicCloud, but that's the connection there. And just one note about Ron Howard. So when he produced Curious George and I was going to direct it, and we were preparing it, we called prepping it, he was an excellent producer and really fun to work with because he's also a director. And so the communication was very easy, and it was a great connection at the time. So I really loved working with him.
He just seems like a really nice guy. I obviously have never met him, but I think a lot of Americans just think he's a really great guy. He's done, his work is just beautiful. He has a real, I think, important legacy. So as do you. So let's talk about, what is SonicCloud? Is it hearing aids? What is it?
No, so SonicCloud really is good question. So it's really a full-on software solution, what they call end-to-end, which means it's a hearing capture, which is a hearing test, a mobile hearing test or a web-based hearing test, self-fitting methodology, which is patented, which means that it's a very intuitive way to make adjustments, even if you know nothing about sound or audio or the science of sound, where you can get very accurate and granular about the individual letters and phonemes, the SH sound, the SH, the P sound. Those are the sounds that in English and in Western languages give you speech understanding for clarity. And when you have hearing loss, you don't just want to turn up the volume.
Right.
So your listeners know. You want to create a very clear frequency response based on each individual frequency or pitch, like the pitches on a piano. And in English, it turns out that the high pitches, the consonants, which are somewhat high, and then the sibilants, which are very high, the S, the F, the TH. Mm-hmm. If you lose those, everything sort of sounds like that, muffled, like Charlie Brown's Teacher, if you remember those old cartoons.
Yeah.
So what you need, and also people with hearing loss often can't tolerate loud sounds as well. So It's not just that they can't hear the soft ones. So what that means is you have this very narrow, what's called dynamic range of tolerance. So you need it boosted to a certain level, but if it gets too loud, it's painful. Right. You hear people saying, turn it up, and you turn up the volume across all the frequency spectrum, and they go, oh, it's too loud. Right, wait a second, you just told me to turn it up. No, it has to be done calibrated for each frequency band, both the minimum threshold and the loudness discomfort level. And we do that. And so the other thing we do is we give the person the ability to make adjustments to the individual frequencies. And maybe I'll screen share this one slide here for a second, just to show you what I mean. Let me pull this up.
It's a bit complicated, but it's also such powerful work because it impacts all of us, not just people with hearing loss. All of us benefit from this.
Exactly. Can you see the screen there?
Yes. And why don't you describe what you're seeing what you're displaying on it?
So on the phone app, SonicCloud, there's a phone app and there's a desktop personalization app. And what they do is they essentially give you a level of processing of the sound that's tailored to your individual hearing loss. So you take the hearing test, that creates a profile, which is like a prescription. So it's like glasses for your ears. But you don't necessarily need to use your hearing aids. You can just use the phone now and a pair of earbuds. And that prescription which is ordinarily sitting in your hearing. It's not exactly the same because we do our own hearing test. It's our own proprietary methodology, is now sitting in the phone or on the computer virtually in software, and it enhances the sound according to your needs based on your hearing fingerprint. In this case, what I'm showing you is once you've got a baseline hearing fingerprint, you can then go in and make adjustments to further fine tune. You know, when you get your hearing aids, you have to go back to the audiologist often, sometimes multiple times, for them to make adjustments. They ask you how it sounds, but they can't get inside your brain. They don't know what you're exactly hearing. That was frustrating for me. And for the team at SonicCloud, what we devised was this method, which is patented, which allows you to make adjustments, let's say to the S sound, as you listen to this serious baseball fans. What you're seeing on the screen is the word serious baseball fans, and the S is the letter that the user can adjust with their fingers. And this, and as they raise the size of the letters, it increases the clarity and sharpness of the S. Now, it might get too shrill, so you want to dial it back down. You kind of want to Goldilocks your way to the right level, not too shrill, not too muffled, just right. And you do that for a number of phonemes, 4 or 5 of them, the P sound. In this case, I'm showing the SH sound now in the word shapely and greenish. And I'm showing on the right-hand side, there are other visual metaphors like too tunnely and too echoey and naturalism. And so what you do is you create a clear and vibrant sound that has great fidelity, but also great naturalism to it. So it's got to have clarity and naturalism at the same time. Sometimes those things are a little bit at odds. The idea here is you optimize for the two based on making adjustments, which you can make, and you don't have to know a thing about hertz or decibels or anything about the science of sound.
Wow.
And then the last part of it is when you're using the application, you can make real-time adjustments. So if you're talking to James Earl Jones, he has a very deep voice. If you're talking to a woman with a very high-pitched voice, or a child or your grandkid or your niece or nephew, you can make an adjustment for their voice. Say, make it a little more clear, make it a little more sharp because it's very high-pitched. And then you can save the profile. You can save that profile. So unlike glasses where you put on your glasses and you can see everybody, I got my glasses right here, and you can see little kids and grown-ups, and they're clear, they're sharp, and you can get maybe close to 20/20 vision if they do a good job. With hearing, often when you're listening to a person with a low-pitched voice, your hearing aids or your baseline profile in SonicCloud is tuned for an average voice. You may find you need adjustments for a different voice, like a higher pitched voice, women or children. People often say they have difficulty hearing their kids, and they're shining it on, and they're on a family call, and you know the uncle or the aunt or the grandfather or whatever is not hearing what the children are saying, and you just kind of move along. And that's really too bad, because why should that person be isolated? You know, they become isolated and withdrawn. They don't participate. You know, it happens at the dinner table. It happens at Thanksgiving gatherings. It happens on phone calls on a Sunday, where they're really just kind of going along, but they really can't understand what's being said. And, you know, to me, that was something that I felt like, wouldn't it be great to be inclusive and allow everybody to participate?
It is very isolating. When my father-in-law started losing his hearing, and he became 100, completely lost his hearing, it was very isolating. And we were trying to help as a family, and there just weren't a lot of options. But Larry, so it sounds like SonicCloud is not just for people that are using hearing aids, because I know I don't use hearing aids, but I do, probably because of my age, I do. Sometimes I can't hear stuff, or it sounds like people are mumbling, and sometimes right now I happen to have a little ear infection in my left ear, so that's even harder to hear. So couldn't we also benefit from using SonicCloud?
Absolutely. And it's a great point that you bring up. So 80% of people who could benefit from hearing enhancement don't buy hearing aids. Only 20% do. Okay?
Wow.
So you have this whole group of folks. Some people don't buy them because of stigma.
Right.
They're in denial that they have hearing loss. It's
I don't want to be
slow.
old.
It occurs over such a slow period of time, 7 to 10 years, for people to go from acknowledging that they have some problem to doing something about it. And people don't want to be identified with, having a quote unquote handicap and so forth. So there are a lot of, also there's hidden hearing loss, where people have normal hearing in their audiogram, but they go into a restaurant and they can't separate out the background noise from the foreground person. That's a new thing, by the way, which has been identified in the last 4 or 5 years. So that's a new genuine medical condition.
Right.
So there are a lot of, and there's tinnitus also that people get.
Which
So,
I have really bad. And I think you get to a certain age and you have it, they say because there's little hairs break in your ears, or
that's right.
I don't know enough. So you're the expert here. But I have tinnitus all the time.
All the time. So, and if you turn up the volume, if you're a call center worker or you work in on Zoom calls all day because of the pandemic and remote work and hybrid work, and you're just turning up the volume on your headset, that's not good.
No,
that will exacerbate issues, and that could possibly exacerbate something like tinnitus. So to get a very sculpted profile for your hearing, absolutely. And even people with 15% of the people who use SonicCloud have quote unquote normal hearing. Composers, musicians use it because they like being able to make adjustments to listen. What I'd love to do is show you two things. I'd love to show you a little before and after of what it sounds like to me with SonicCloud. And then I'd love to show you what we do on the computer itself, which we help folks, again, in these Zoom type situations, either at work or at home or doing online tutorials. Is that okay if I
yes, and I want to ask you a question as you're doing it. Are any corporations bringing this to their workforce because they really need to? Okay, cool.
Yeah,
because this is amazing. It would help us all. Sorry.
Exactly.
But that's why I was so excited about it.
I'm glad you asked that before we go, because that's the most important point, I think, which is that accessibility is becoming much more of a real initiative at many corporations. Yes. Now it's uneven. It's not like everybody's doing the same thing, but we're working with a bunch of corporations who have accessibility divisions, some of which have a separate, almost stealth unit accessibility division, so that the employee doesn't even have to tell their manager that they're getting an accessibility,
which is the way it should be.
Hearing, I can't say the name of the company, but there are several that are large computer manufacturers and so forth that we're working with that do an amazing job. And this is fairly new.
Okay, good.
Of accommodating employees, because an employee may not want to step forward and say, I have hearing loss, I request an accommodation, because they may fear for their job. You know, maybe the manager will blame the fact that they didn't hear something on a call and they'll get fired. So a lot of people are kind of afraid of that. So having these units that in the background help provide these things that the manager doesn't even have to know are fantastic. We're also working with companies which provide the more common type of hearing accessibility accommodations, but many of them now are looking at it as not as wait till the person steps forward and self-identifies. Let's put it out there, and anyone who feels they need to use it, use it. Please. And that way, the people who are maybe afraid or who want it, they then come in under the radar and try it. They don't have to announce that they have an issue if they don't want to. They can if they do, but they don't have to. And they can get the help that they need. And
that's the future. That's the only way going forward.
So let me show you what we're doing for that. But before I do that, I'd love for you to hear what this sounds like, because I know we don't have that much time. So let me quickly do that. Here's sound. Okay. Okay, I'm not going to be able to hear you now, but could you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. And you're silent now because of the way this works. This is a simulation of my hearing loss. There's a visual that goes along with it, but you'll be able to hear it, of what I hear without SonicCloud or without my hearing aids. It's louder than what I hear, but it's kind of muffled the way I hear things. So let me play that back for you.
Hi, Daddy. It's Gigi. I hope you have a nice trip. I miss you. I love you.
So you should have heard something going by there. Now, what we did was we took that sound, that audio, and we ran it through my SonicCloud profile and recorded the output. And this is not a cooked up thing. It's actually what we recorded when we processed it.
Hi, Daddy. It's Gigi. I hope you have a nice trip. I miss you. I love you.
Ooh, she's got such a great voice too. Sorry.
So I call that liquid honey for my ears. That's like, and also the delta or the difference between what I hear without and with is a little greater than that difference. But it gives you, if you don't have hearing loss, it gives you a way to kind of understand what you can get. I want to play one more video. Actually, I just thought of this. This is a woman who has, it's only 30 seconds, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
It's a woman who is a material scientist at General Electric, She has congenital hearing loss in one ear from when she was a kid, so almost no hearing in that ear. In her second ear, 7 years ago, she started to get a form of Meniere's disease, and she now has fluctuating hearing loss daily. So she can't, just like you have the ear infection, she can't change her hearing aids every day. She can't go into an audiologist and get it adjusted, and it changes daily, and she's quite fearful that she's going to lose more hearing. So she came to the HLAA convention. We had a booth there. This is the hearing loss convention, and she tried SonicCloud. There was someone behind the booth, I wasn't there, who had a camera. They pulled out the camera and they asked her if it was okay to film, and she tried it. And this is her reaction. And for those who have vision challenges, she's just standing in front of SonicCloud. She's got a headset on, and she presses play on the desktop personalization SonicCloud solution.
Oh my God.
Well,
I kind of don't want to live in this world. I want to live in this world. That was insane. I've never heard stereo in my life. And then with this ear, since it's so bad now and it changes, that's amazing.
And of course, she starts crying because she's so grateful.
So, and she's a wonderful.
Oh, wow.
She sent us. She would be on these 130-person Teams calls and Zoom calls, and said, "I can't function. I have to have someone recap the entire call."
Right.
This is a real work productivity issue. It's something like $4,000 annually in lost productivity if you have hearing loss on average. A study done in Denmark. So it's a real problem. Now she says she's not only going on those calls and doing them, but she's helping other people understand. Now she's using SonicCloud on the calls. And so I thought I would just show you what that looks like in the work environment and what the work accessibility solution looks like. I'll do one more.
No, I just think this is so important what you're doing. So we really want to support what you're doing. We all over the world, we need to support this. So yes, please.
Okay, here we go. So can you see my little control panel there? Yeah,
yes,
okay. So what this is for folks who have vision challenges, it's a horizontal screen with controls. You can select a profile in the middle of the screen. And then on the left and right, there are sliders that allow you to make adjustments to the, can you speak for a second, Deborah?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I made a mistake. I didn't turn off the sound. So give me 2 seconds here. Let me share screen. I need to turn off the share sound to be able to hear you. Okay, let me just quickly. Okay, can you say something?
Test.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Thank you. Sorry about that. Let me reshare. Yeah, it defaults to, okay. Okay, now could you say something?
Hello, Larry.
Oh. So what it's doing is it's now continuing some crazy audio routing things. I cannot hear you, but I'm just going to speak if that's okay.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. So this control panel then allows you to make slider adjustments on the left-hand side and the right-hand side to the sound. So what we did with SonicCloud was, because enterprises and companies need people to be able to set up very quickly, is we created 7 sample profiles that cover the range of hearing loss from mild on up.
Wow.
Profile 1 is light speech clarity. Profile 3 is enhanced speech clarity. Profile 5 is louder and fuller, and so forth. And what's going on under the hood here is that we took a 6-figure number of profiles that we've already gathered from having the product out in the market and created these sort of optimized, most relevant ballpark profiles. So if you come in and you install SonicCloud and you're at your office, you can select one, okay, and get it. And let's say you can try 1 and 2, and you can toggle between 1 and 2 and listen. Just like in the optometrist's office, is this better, is that better, right? And let's say you end up on profile 3, but you want the right ear. You can select a right ear tab, and there's a right ear tab for those who are vision challenged. And you can change the sharpness, let's say, for the right ear. And let's say on the left ear, you want it to be a little richer. You can change the richness. And then there are 2 other controls, vowels and consonants, which you can make adjustments to. And on the left-hand side, there's comfort which is the loudness of the input signal, like whether it's the Crown or whether it's the Avengers, two different loudnesses coming in. You can adjust the boost, and you can adjust the fullness, which is the how open or how full the sound is, which is great for music. And then once you've done all of that, you made the adjustments, and you're like, oh, this is sounding really good. You can then save out that profile. Let's just call it RU profile. Okay. Now, and I can save as many as I want. So now whenever I talk to you, Deborah, and I'm listening, I can understand your voice by using your profile. Now, I may not, for example, use it. I may use just a baseline profile, but what we found, now I'm going to unscreen share. What we found in companies is that people are saving 2 to 3 to 4 profiles. Right. One for a man's voice, one for a woman's voice, and then maybe one for their manager.
Right.
And they're even saving profiles for accents.
Wow.
Which is interesting because we didn't expect that to be the case.
I know.
Now, I've entirely lost audio on this Zoom call, unfortunately. So let me try something technically. Okay. Can you say something?
Larry?
Now I've got audio back. So let me pull it back. So there appears to be some routing issue. Okay, and can you say something now for me?
Larry?
Okay, now I can hear you. Perfect.
All right.
Sorry about that.
But Larry, I want to ask you a really important question. I know I've already kept you more than the 30 minutes I said I was going to, and I'm hoping you'll come back on the show and keep talking about it. But I think the most important question that we all want to know, first of all, I want you to tell us how to go and get it, because obviously I need to go and buy SonicCloud for myself, but also how do we help you? Because I know I'm part of the Valuable 500, very proud to be in that, but there are 500 corporations that are committing to really include us. I think they need SonicCloud because we all would benefit from it. So how can we, the community, help you, Larry? I want to know that. And then, is there ways we can engage? Can we, tell the story, have you on shows? Tell us how to help you, because we want you to be everywhere.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, though this is great. So yes, what we found as the most effective route right now is really the enterprise route. And so what that means is we will be connected somehow to a large company or a small company or in between. We have companies that are called, we have a nice kind of partnership with Jabra headsets. They like working with SonicCloud. And so for example, some of the companies we've worked with, we've recommended the Jabra headset, they've recommended SonicCloud, and there's a nice partnership with them. Good. We also have what are called resellers who not only sell hardware like headsets and speakers and so forth, but also SonicCloud to companies. And we also directly connect with companies, and companies will typically buy a bunch of licenses, let's say, right? So they're not going to go in and say, do you have hearing loss? Do you have hearing loss? Do you have hearing loss? They'll buy a bunch based on an estimate. The Center for Disease Control estimates 12% of the workforce has hearing loss that can be aided. So if you have a 50,000 person company, you're talking about 6,000 people.
Good job.
Yeah. So yeah, that took a second. And so, that's a real sizable number of employees who could benefit. Now, of those 6,000, remember, you have the self-identifying people, but then you have the people who I'm telling you, we have people who come on and use SonicCloud and say, no, I don't have hearing loss. I just want to try it. And it turns out they have hearing loss. And they're just...
I bet you, yeah. I didn't have hearing loss when I tested 10 years ago. Maybe
Right. And there's definitely a statistical curve of over time from 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, where it's a high frequency sloping loss, which is the most common. There are many different types, but that's the most common type of loss. And that means you're going to start having trouble understanding voices. Now, if you're on Zoom calls all day, remember, there was a Stanford study on Zoom fatigue, and there are studies on fatigue, auditory fatigue, tinnitus. all these other hidden hearing loss, all these other conditions that kind of mix in with the Zoom fatigue issue. And imagine how much harder it is. It's exponentially harder to function. Your brain is doing so much more work just to try to understand, not interpret or analyze, that at some point you become tired and you give up, right?
Yeah, I agree. And even yesterday, dealing with this, the last couple of days with this hearing, just this ear infection, I'm surprised at how exhausting it is.
Yeah.
Because I'm working so much harder and I'm already under this grief. But, what I would like to see is I would like to see the corporations right now that are really standing up and saying, no, we are going to lead. I'd really like to see them actually bring SonicCloud in, because that's something they could do right away to help with their productivity and support their employees and support our community. It would save volumes to them, and it's so easy. Whereas the reality is some of the other things that we expect them to do, they're not quite as easy, right? And so this is something you can do right away to tell our community you care about us. And if you're an investor, listen to this, you need to be investing in what Larry's doing. I know I'm going to get SonicCloud for myself, and I'm also going to get it for my daughter with Down syndrome, Larry, because as you're talking, I don't think she has hearing loss, but she has comprehension problems sometimes, as do I. And I think it will help her with comprehension. And she's always on technology. And so I'm really stoked about what you're doing. So I know that I'm going to bring you back on and talk about this again, but tell everybody how to find out about SonicCloud. I know you're on LinkedIn, but so tell us how to get hold of SonicCloud.
Sure. So SonicCloud has a website, sonicloud.com. And also, if you are working at a company, encourage your accessibility division or your HR or IT departments to go to see there's an enterprise section of the website.
All right.
And enterprise partners. And, we have SonicCloud now at big banks, top 10 bank, more than one top 10 bank. We have them at big computer manufacturers. We have it at defense contractors. We have it at many different companies that we're partnering with. We're also currently partnering with Sony at CSUN.
Ooh, fun!
Which is next week, to demonstrate a prototype solution for watching television using SonicCloud. So that's another thing. So, but go talk to your companies about going to the enterprise page. There's a whole enterprise program to be able to get licenses for SonicCloud at companies. You can also use the mobile app for the individual consumer. You can download that. There's a monthly subscription. The first month is free, and then there's a subscription fee after that. And those are the two different ways currently. And then reach out to us directly, support@sonicloud.com or Larry@sonicloud.com if you want. If you work at a company where they could really benefit from this, let them know and put us in touch. We would love to be able to do that. We're having great momentum right now in the enterprise space. There are a lot of really good. There are great companies that are really care about accessibility, and both the tech giants, the large Fortune 500 companies, the Fortune 100 companies, and also smaller companies across the US and Canada.
Right.
So,
and I will also say, if you do this as a corporation, you need to brag about it. You need to come out. You need to tell us that you're doing it. You need to tell your employees you're doing it. You need to tell all of you you're doing it, and we'll get behind you. And we will, but I'm sorry, but you're going to have to brag about what you're doing so we know what you're doing. So please, a very easy way to right away make sure you're taking care of us is to go and get SonicCloud license if you're an employer, period. But please then say, we are so proud because we care about our employees. And so and tell us that you're doing it, because then we can support you. I would also say to the community, go to SonicCloud and look and see who their customers and partners are, because these are the people that are supporting our community. We support them. So if you see a bank supporting them, well, that's your bank, right? I think we have to be very, very deliberate about who we support now. We're going to support people that support us. And also, Larry, they're involved with Billion Strong, very proud that they're one of our partners. So they're walking the walk too. But this is not just for the US and Canada. This is for everyone. So SonicCloud is for everyone. I just wanted to say that because I also have an expectation of corporations and employers to have accommodations everywhere that you are located, not just in the US and Canada or the UK. If you're in Bangladesh, I expect you to be accessible there as well. Our community's expectations of employers are changing. So it's a great resignation going on. Why don't you get SonicCloud? Maybe your employees won't quit on you. So I'm glad that employees are flexing their muscles though, Larry, because I don't want to work for a company that is harming our world.
Yeah.
So this is one way they can say, oh, look at us and look how smart we are. And then how else can we use this tool? Larry's figuring out some ways. What is he not thought about that we need to think about, that we need to join him to help them be successful? So I'm a big fan of SonicCloud, but it's because it's the future. And this is the way we accommodate people. We don't have to say, tell us if you got a problem. You actually just make sure if I need something, I can go get it my big self. So, all right. So one more time, Larry, what is your website?
So www.soniccloud.com.
All right.
And, and within the website, there are tabs for enterprise partners and for how it works and the science of it and so forth, how to download it, so forth.
Yes,
So.
good. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on, Larry. I'm hoping you'll come back on because I have a feeling we need to talk to you more, especially with the smart city projects that we're doing at Rue Global. A city is not smart if people can't hear it.
Right. Right.
So, yeah.
Great.
All right. Thank you, Larry. Thank you to all of the audience, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thank you, Deborah. And I love the work that you're doing. I just want to say that. So it's so important to be able to just make the world inclusive for everyone in such a way that they don't have to be called out. They can just kind of participate. So anyway,
Right.
thank you. Thank you for that.
Just participate. I agree. Okay, you hold on, Larry, and we'll say goodbye to everybody.
Okay. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Human Potential at Work. To learn more about Rue Global Impact, visit rueglobal.com. And to learn more about Billion Strong, an identity and empowerment organization designed to bring the billions of voices of persons with disabilities together, you can join the global community and donate at billion-strong.org. That's billion-strong.org.